Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story. A story hailed as a symbol of betrayal and rebirth in the heart of New York City. And let me tell ya, this ain't just some made-up yarn. This is the confession of a woman who stared down the ugliest truth life could throw at her. It's gonna make you question everything about your closest connections, about those secrets hiding just beneath the shiny surface. I'm Sarah Miller, 40, a creative director in Manhattan. Used to believe in forever love and the whole New York fairy tale. But then, one glass of wine in Brooklyn Heights, late on a Friday night, yanked the curtain back on a nightmare secret. This ain't just a breakup story, folks. This is about exposing the fakers. Trust me on this. Nobody rolls into a little bar in Brooklyn Heights at midnight on a Friday just for one glass of wine and then heads home. And neither did I. David and I? 7 years married. 7 years of what felt like the perfect American dream. He's this super talented architect, the kind of guy every mother wants for a son-in-law. Classy, crisp white shirt, dark tie, always spoke softly but could talk you into anything. Baby, the Hudson Yards project is really taking off. I think we'll have enough for our own place next year, David said, holding me tight on the balcony of our penthouse. I always thought his biggest strength was building skyscrapers. Those iconic structures that would stand tall in this city forever, but turns out, he was way better at building lies. Castles of sand I fell for. Hook, line, and sinker. We were renting this penthouse near Brooklyn Heights, straight-up views of the majestic East River, and beyond that, the twinkling Manhattan skyline. Evenings, I'd pour a nice Cabernet Sauvignon, open the balcony doors, breathe in the river air, listen to the faint tugboat horns. I really thought, this is it. I'm set. A perfect life in the perfect city. Happiness, I believed, was as solid as the Brooklyn Bridge. It all started with a weird email. No subject, no signature. Just sitting there in my inbox, sandwiched between 100 work emails and junk ads. Sarah, where do you really think he was on Friday night? Just that one line. Like a tiny, cold knife, cutting into the perfect facade I'd worked so hard to build. Who? Who was he? And why couldn't I think of anyone but David? I tried to ignore it. I wanted to believe my husband. He was always my ideal man, the one I trusted completely. I told myself, it's just some nasty prank from someone jealous. But that Friday, that haunting question just kept swirling in my head. David said he was working late, a rush drawing for a big project in Midtown. David, are you coming home late? I miss you. I'm busy, babe, you go ahead, I'll be really late. This drawing is crucial, you know that. Love you. I was home, alone with a cold pasta dish and a crappy Netflix movie. With every tick of the clock, the doubt grew. By 11 p.m., my inner New Yorker kicked in. I grabbed my trench coat, hailed a yellow cab, and hightailed it to his design studio in Dumbo. The studio was dark. 3rd floor, pitch black, not a single light spilling out. I stood on the street, the Brooklyn wind whipping cold against my face, my palms clammy and trembling. I called him again. David, are you sure you're there? I'm downstairs. Sarah, I told you I'm busy. What are you doing here at this hour? Go home. Don't distract me, I'll be late. David's voice on the phone was cold and annoyed. He was hiding something, no doubt about it. I stood on the street, staring up at the dark building, trying to believe him. But then, my eyes darted left, and a cold flash ripped through the night. No way, that's his black Range Rover. That sleek, unmistakable black Range Rover, parked 3 blocks away, right in front of a fancy wine bar, the Heights Cellar. Not the studio, not the Midtown project. A bar. At this hour, anger and fear suddenly erupted, burning through all the doubt. I walked fast, like a possessed maniac, straight to the glass door of the Heights Cellar. Warm yellow light spilled out, soft jazz drifted inside, creating a scene that was a total opposite to the storm raging inside me. The bartender looked a little surprised when I pushed the door open, like a ghost just materialized. Before I could say anything, before I could even say David's name, my eyes locked onto them. In the corner of the bar, under the dim light, 2 figures were chatting. And then it hit me. It was David and Emily Carter, my best friend from college, a freelance journalist who used to come over for dinner, drinks, shared everything. Emily, the one I trusted so much I told her every little secret about my marriage. Now she was sitting across from my husband. Red wine in her hand, eyes sparkling with what looked like intoxication, and her other hand resting on his. Oh my God. Emily? No way. It can't be Emily. The jazz was still playing, but in my ears it turned into a pounding, deafening drum. The world around me spun. David laughed. Emily laughed. They looked at each other, like the whole world was just the two of them. The world seemed to stop. The gentle jazz suddenly became piercing. I stood frozen, like a statue in a moving crowd, as I watched David, my husband, the man I swore my life to, lean down and gently kiss Emily's hand. You really are the best thing that's ever happened to me, Em. This wine, I drink to you. You're too sweet, David. We're gonna make everything happen, right? And then they both burst into laughter again, a peal of laughter echoing through the bar, as if I had never existed in this world. That laugh now wasn't the sound of happiness, but a knife straight through my heart. My instinct told me not to make a scene. Not now. I backed out, moving like a shadow, hailed a yellow cab, and went home. The whole ride back, I didn't cry. I couldn't cry. My mind was reeling, but terrifyingly empty. That night, I couldn't sleep for a second. The physical pain wasn't even close to the emotional agony of trust completely shattered. I opened my phone, hands shaking, and scrolled through every message between me and Emily. Sarah, how are you and your husband doing lately? Everything okay? Heard David's super busy. Oh, everything's great, Emily. David really is busy, but he always tries to make time for family. Thanks for checking in. A whole string of sweet, caring messages. Emily always seemed so concerned, so worried about me, about my marriage. I'd replied with sweet, trusting words, not a hint of suspicion. While she was picking away at every blind spot, every crack in the life I thought was perfect. Each message felt like another cut to my soul. That night, the big penthouse suddenly felt more suffocating than ever. Every old message, every lie flashed clearly in my mind. I couldn't sleep a wink. New York dawn broke, casting weak rays of sunlight into the room. And then, the door opened. The next morning, David came home. He walked into the kitchen, his familiar cologne filling the space, just like always. He gently kissed my hair as I stood at the coffee machine, my hand still trembling. Morning, babe. You're up early? I had a brutal night at work. Coffee smells great. I saw you at the Heights Cellar with Emily last night. Oh, she's doing a report on real estate in that area, sweetie. I was just helping her with some ideas, you know. Architect stuff. You kissed her hand to talk about real estate, David? David got angry. His face flushed, eyes sharp. Sarah, what the hell are you talking about? Are you paranoid? Are you really this ridiculously jealous? I told you, it was just work. I stayed silent. My silence wasn't acceptance, it was preparation. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just looked at him, like I was looking at a stranger. But I started investigating. I needed proof. Not to confront, but to protect myself. I called Jake, an old college friend, now an amateur but sharp as a tack private investigator. He knew me, and he knew New York. A week later, Jake brought me a stack of photos. Black and white, secretly taken but crystal clear. David and Emily. Having lunch in West Village, laughing like newlyweds. Then walking out of a small, discreet boutique hotel on Atlantic Avenue, Brooklyn. The photos were taken from different angles, undeniable. Each picture was a deeper stab into my heart. The stack of photos from Jake felt heavy in my hands, not from their physical weight, but from the sheer burden of the truth they exposed. I sat in my office, the cold blue light from the computer screen reflecting on my face, illuminating the brokenness in my eyes. I examined each photo slowly, trying to ingrain every detail into my memory. David's hand, the hand I'd held so many times, now resting intimately on Emily's back as they exited the hotel. Both of them hunched over, trying to avoid being seen, as if they feared the eyes of this entire city. He cheated on me, right under my nose, in this very city. I felt a wave of nausea rise, not from the sight, but from the sheer audacity of the lie. Those photos were undeniable proof of emotional betrayal. But I needed more. I needed proof to protect myself, so he couldn't wiggle out of it, so he couldn't deny anything. I needed financial proof. I quietly logged into our joint company account, the one David and I had built together, dollar by dollar for 7 years. I scrutinized every transaction, every number. And then a line of data jumped out at me, cold and clear as a knife thrust. What the hell is this? $50,000? Transferred to Emily Carter? I discovered David had pulled nearly $50,000 from our shared account. The transaction purpose was listed as startup project investment. And that startup project? A cute little flower shop on 9th Avenue, Manhattan. A flower shop that I, his wife, didn't even know existed. Emily Carter's Flower Shop. Bloom and Petal. $50,000 investment. From David Miller. You son of a bitch. The pain of emotional betrayal suddenly multiplied tenfold by financial outrage. He didn't just cheat on me emotionally. He stole our money, my money, to build a love nest with another woman. This feeling of being completely swindled almost drove me insane. For $50,000 for a flower shop I never knew about? The outrage in me was no longer an undercurrent. It was a goddamn tidal wave. I decided I had to go see it for myself. I visited the flower shop one rainy afternoon. The Bloom and Petal sign was small and cute, with vibrant flowers artfully arranged behind the glass. From the outside, it looked like any New York girl's dream. Oh, welcome. You must be Sarah, right? David mentioned you'd be dropping by today to check out the investment papers. Come on in. I was stunned. Sarah? Had he lied to Emily, telling her I was some partner or investor of theirs? The manager enthusiastically showed me everything, from fresh bouquets to expansion plans. When she handed me the documents, my eyes instantly locked onto one sheet of paper. What is this? Lease agreement. Signed David Miller. My money, my blood and sweat, building their secret love nest. The feeling of being completely deceived almost choked me. But I didn't make a scene. I didn't scream. I learned one thing in New York. To survive, you gotta know how to stay calm, especially when everything is on fire. I smiled at the manager, exchanged a few pleasantries, and left. I didn't confront right then. David didn't deserve a scene. He deserved a perfect trap. One Saturday night, I got everything ready. David, I gotta tell you something. Work just called an emergency trip to Chicago. Big project, can't be delayed. I gotta leave tonight. Oh, really, babe? That's a bummer. But it's work, I get it. Just take care of yourself, okay? He hugged me, kissed my forehead, playing the devoted husband perfectly. Truth is, I wasn't going to Chicago. I rented an Airbnb just a stone's throw away, close enough to feel the pulse of Manhattan, close enough to see the lights from my own penthouse. Before I left, I'd installed tiny, super discreet cameras in our penthouse. One on the bookshelf, one in a plant, one tucked away in a picture frame on David's desk. I wanted to record everything. Not for revenge, but for undeniable proof. So he could never lie again. So I, once and for all, could see the naked truth. Chicago? That was the story I fed David. But that night, I lay in that Airbnb just a few miles away, staring at my phone screen. Every image from those hidden cameras popped up, clear, slow, and brutal. I saw him, David Miller. He brought Emily home, right into our penthouse, the home I'd poured my heart and soul into. They walked in, laughing, totally comfortable, like they owned the place. Surprise! Your wife's on a business trip. The house is ours tonight, babe. You're such a bad boy. I like this red wine of yours. Looks expensive, huh? Then I saw them. They kicked back on the very sofa I'd been paying off for 2 years, every single hard-earned penny of mine. David pulled out a bottle of red wine. The most expensive bottle, the one I'd saved for our anniversary. They popped it open, the cork echoing like fireworks, celebrating my heartbreak, and I knew there was nothing left to save. Everything was over. Completely over. The next morning, I didn't hesitate for a second. No crying, no whining, just a chilling, scary determination. I woke up early, brewed a strong black coffee, and got to work. I sent all the videos, photos, and financial evidence I'd gathered to my lawyer. He was genuinely blown away by how meticulously prepared I was. I called the bank, froze all of David and my joint accounts. I transferred all my shares out of the joint company we'd built. Step by step, I cut every single tie to him. After I finished everything, I opened my phone. The screen lit up with dozens of missed calls and messages from David. I ignored them all. I opened Emily's messages. Her last one wished me a safe trip for my Chicago business trip. Thanks for teaching me who to trust, Emily. I sent it. A short sentence, packed with anger, disappointment, and a touch of sadness. It was my final goodbye to a friend who betrayed me in the cruelest way possible. The message, thanks for teaching me who to trust, Emily, was sent. I put my phone down, feeling a small sense of relief, but still a painful emptiness. Just seconds later, my phone screen lit up again. Emily replied instantly. Sarah, no! You misunderstand. It's not what you think. David promised. David promised he'd leave you. He said he wasn't happy and he'd be with me soon. I read that message over and over. A mix of disgust and pity washed over me. Disgust at Emily's foolishness, and pity because she was also a victim, manipulated by David. Yeah, well, good luck to you two, with your own money. I didn't give her a chance to reply. I blocked Emily's number. The stage was now just for David. As soon as David found the company accounts empty, not a single dime left, he became like a cornered animal. My phone vibrated nonstop. Sarah, what the hell are you doing? Why did you lock the accounts? Call me back right now. This is business, you'll ruin everything. Please, Sarah, don't do this. He called me 27 times. Sent dozens of emails with subject lines like, urgent, please pick up, I need to talk. Then came the crying, begging, blaming messages. Are you crazy? I know what you're doing. You'll regret this. I stayed silent. My silence was more terrifying than any accusation. I filed for divorce, along with all the evidence. Videos, photos, bank statements, the flower shop lease, and even the audio recordings of David borrowing money from Jessica that I'd collected after talking to her. Everything was neatly organized, irrefutable. The fallout came fast. David lost his job. The name David Miller, a talented architect, was now synonymous with embezzlement and infidelity. Emily closed her flower shop because she couldn't pay the rent. Their startup project collapsed, taking Emily's savings with it. Everything David had built with lies now crumbled like a building with no foundation. Months passed. New York entered winter. The cold wind bit at my skin, but I felt an oddly serene peace inside. David and Emily had completely vanished from my life, like dried ink on a page that had been torn out. One cold winter night, I decided to go back to Brooklyn Heights. Not to search for something, but to say goodbye. I sat in that same old wine bar, the Heights cellar, where I'd found the naked truth. The jazz was still soft, the light still warm yellow. I ordered a glass of red wine, my hand brushing the cold glass. I looked out at the street through the large window, the warm light spilling from shops, the wind catching the coats of hurried pedestrians. And then, a familiar figure slipped by. David Miller. He walked into the bar. He looked haggard. His eyes seemed tired and lost. David scanned for an empty seat. And then, his eyes stopped, locked onto mine. His face hardened. His lips parted as if to say something, but no sound came out. His eyes held surprise, a touch of remorse, and a lot of bitterness. Right behind him, another woman walked in, younger, more innocent. She smiled brightly, taking David's arm naturally. A young girl with eyes sparkling with admiration for talented architect David Miller. I suddenly realized David was still searching for new opportunities. He was still that guy. I just nodded slightly. A nod not of greeting, but of confirmation for everything that had passed. I raised my glass of red wine, lifting it to eye level, like a silent toast of farewell. No words were spoken. Not a sound broke that moment. The wine glass was my final word. The final glass of wine was raised. No words were exchanged between David and me. Just a nod. A silent farewell. I turned my back on him, on the new girl clinging to a false future, and turned my back on my own past. I, Sarah Miller, 40 years old, a true New Yorker, finally understood. Sometimes, the one who betrays you isn't New York City with its noisy streets and bustling life, with its impersonal skyscrapers and crowded subways. It's the very person you trusted implicitly, the one you thought would walk every lit-up street with you, building a future together. New York taught me a lot, taught me how to survive, how to be strong, how to keep moving forward. But the biggest lesson, the most expensive lesson, came from the betrayal of the person I trusted most. I thought I'd collapse, that my whole world would fall apart. But no, I stood tall. And sometimes, the best way to close a chapter, to find peace in this city that never sleeps, is just to sit alone, sip a glass of wine, and not say another word. No explanations, no arguments, no resentment, just acceptance, and moving on. Life goes on. I'm no longer the naive girl who believed in fairy tale dreams. I'm stronger, wiser, and above all, more independent than ever. A few days ago, I sent Emily a small card. No accusations, just a short line. Emily, I hope you find peace. We're not friends anymore, but now, we have one thing in common. We both got out from under David Miller. I didn't expect a reply. I don't hate her anymore either. Now, I just feel liberation. I'm ready for my new chapter. A new chapter where I write my own story, free from the shadow of any lies, and every glass of wine I sip is a toast to my freedom.